So I get so many requests to talk about historical figures, especially knights, and I am constantly asked who my favorite knight is. Put simply, there are too many to choose from, but I will choose one of my favorites, William Marshal. For those who don't know, William Marshal, the first Earl of Pembroke, was the longest serving knight in English history. Like, who's who Barristan Selmy in Game of Thrones is based off. He served 5 kings, which is an achievement in itself to survive 5 kings, let alone serve them. Especially the kings that he was serving. So he served Henry II, Henry's eldest son Henry, Richard the Lionheart, John I, and Henry III, all of which were incredibly temperamental. But where's this story begin? At 5 years old, when he was sent to die on the scaffold. It was during the Civil War, the Anarchy, and he'd been taken prisoner by King Stephen, and, William was the second son of a minor noble that was fighting for Empress Matilda. So Stephen's like, yep, to the scaffold with you, but on the way to the scaffold, he passed a knight with, a lance. He went, "Oh, that looks fun, can I have a go at that?" And apparently Stephen found this so amusing, they went, "Yeah, you're alright, kid." Skip to a couple of years later and Stephen was dead, the war was over, and Henry II was on the throne. What to become of William, who was now 7 or 8 years old? Well, he was the second son, therefore he didn't stand to inherit anything, and his father didn't really care, so he sent him away to study in Squire under his uncle William de Tankerville. And he does. For years he studies under Uncle William, learning the skills of martial ability and what it means to become a knight. Skip ahead, and it's 1166 or 7, and it's his first battle in Normandy. His knighting was very unceremonious. Basically, his uncle's like, "Oh god, we gotta move. Okay, you are now a knight, let's go!" And it's in this first battle that he forges the beginning of his reputation. With many saying he was the most impressive man on the field of battle that day, who slew many. He was all glory and knightly prowess. Didn't take any prisoners though. Taking prisoners was how you earned your income as a knight, because you'd ransom them back to their families. So he didn't take any prisoners, and his horse was wounded in this battle, later to die. Also, the border dispute later fizzled out, and his uncle went, "I can't afford to keep keeping this many knights, so, bye." So now William had no job. What does William do? He is now a knight with no job and no horse. He sells all his possessions that do not help him become a knight and buys a cheap horse. He then rides to the closest tournament to try his luck as a tournament knight. Now, these kind of tournaments at this stage of medieval history weren't jousts. They were like mock battles. The whole idea was that you took enemy knights captive just like in real battle and you ransom them back. He does this. He takes 2 very valuable prisoners. He takes 4 war horses. He gets a whole bunch of new knightly gear and wins the tournament. And that's when he's just like, "Oh my god, I can make a living at this." Rides to the next tournament, wins that as well. Spends the next year winning tournament after tournament after tournament, accumulating wealth and prestige. People treat him differently. They're like, "Ah, there goes William Marshal." But yeah, man, check out my new knightly drip. Garners this reputation of not just being a good fighter, but a good showman. When it comes to the melee at the tournament, he plays to the crowd. It gets to the point, he is now one of the most famous tournament knights in the north of France. But he goes, "You know what? France is boring. I'm going home to England." And this is just the start of his story. Come back for part 2.